Hey, how are you? Thanks for being here. This is my book channel. So last week I went down the list of all the books that I loved the most as a teen. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about all the books that traumatized me as a teen. So let's get into this, shall we? First on my list is It by Stephen King. I read this when I was, I think 14 or 15. I was really young. I was probably too young to be reading this. So I mostly read this book when I was in school. I would be in my classes and the last like 5 or 10 minutes, a lot of times the teacher would be like, okay, just, do what you want, just whatever, read, study. Or if I was like finished with a test early or something, I would always pull out a book. And I mean, aside from the fact that it's about a clown that kills little kids, I mean, the whole book is pretty disturbing. Of course, we need to talk about that scene. You know the scene. It's the scene that was smartly left out of all the movies. It was left out of the miniseries and the feature film as well that they just did a few years ago. But yeah, it's in the book, and I still don't know why it's even in the book. Does Stephen King even know why it's in the book? Does he know why he even wrote that scene? Yeah, that scene was, it was disgusting. Next up is Flowers in the Attic by V.C. Andrews. I don't remember why I even picked up this book, if it was recommended to me, or I don't know what even drew me to this book initially. Oh, now I remember. I saw the movie. There was a movie on TV a long time ago that I watched, and so I read the book, and again, I was pretty young. I think I was like 13 or 14 when I read the book. And it's really messed up. I mean, it's so messed up. It's so upsetting and so disturbing. I mean, most of her books, I know that after she passed away, the author V.C. Andrews, her writing continued. I can't remember if it was like a family member or someone who like kept writing books based on ideas that she had and had written down someplace. But yeah, those early books especially were all pretty disturbing. Just really upsetting topics, very traumatizing. But yeah, that was the first book that I read by V.C. Andrews, and as much as it disturbed me, I couldn't put it down. And I kind of felt that way about all of the books that I read by this author. They're very readable. You can get through them really quick, but they're not always pleasant to read. Interview with the Vampire by Anne Rice. I loved this book, and I also love the film, the Neil Jordan film. But getting into spoilers here, it was Claudia's death that really messed me up. It was upsetting in the book, and it was upsetting in the movie as well. The thing about Interview with the Vampire, it makes the idea of being a vampire extremely appealing, though. But obviously, what happens to some of the characters in the book is a fate that you certainly would not want to meet. And yeah, there were some difficult scenes in that book. But I really loved it nonetheless. I still love it. It's one of my favorite books. It's one of my favorite horror books. Communion by Whitley Strieber. So my mom owned this book, and I read it when I was a teen. It's about a man who, throughout a large portion of his life, claims that he was abducted many times by extraterrestrials, and there were tests performed on him, and yeah, I don't really remember a lot about the subject matter of this book, to be quite honest. It wasn't so much the story that traumatized me, it was the cover of the book. So I am not even going to put the cover that I had on here. I'm going to find something else, because there was the original cover was of an artist's depiction of what you would call like a gray alien, and for some reason I had such a visceral reaction to this cover. I could not look at this cover. Why that is, I don't know. But to this day, seeing artists' depictions of the gray aliens, if they are, I guess, very detailed and very realistic, I find it hard to look. They just scare the hell out of me. If it's something like cartoonish, it doesn't bother me, but it was that specific picture that just freaked me out so badly. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and put it up. Of course, everyone that I've told this to thinks it's hilarious, and they don't understand why I'm so scared. I don't know. Did I encounter these things at some point in my life? Is that why I'm having such a visceral reaction? I don't know. Wasted by Maria Hornbacher. This book I read when I was, I believe, in my late teens. It is a memoir of a young woman who has struggled with a lifelong eating disorder. It is incredibly graphic. It's very hard to read. It's very raw. Nothing is glossed over. It does not glamorize the experience whatsoever. It's one of the best memoirs I've ever read. Maria Hornbacher is an extraordinary writer, but it is a very difficult read. And last on my list is Journey into Darkness by John E. Douglas. So after reading Helter Skelter, which is the book by Vincent Bugliosi, it's about the Manson trial, I got very into true crime, and I read this one, Journey into Darkness. I read Mindhunter. I read Obsession, The Cases That Haunt Us, all in pretty rapid succession. John Douglas worked for many, many years as a criminal profiler for the FBI. He was actually one of the first criminal profilers. He's written dozens of books chronicling all kinds of cases that he's worked on, as well as ones that he hasn't. They are obviously pretty disturbing, and reading them as a teenager, the subject matter is very heavy and at times very upsetting, very shocking. It's really fascinating, and also really unsettling, knowing what humans are capable of doing to other humans. I'm not sure I would ever want to revisit any of those books, but they are all very well written, well-researched looks into the darkest corners of the human psyche. So that is my list. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe, leave a comment down below, and let me know which books traumatized you the most when you were younger. Just an FYI, I do also have a music channel called Musicalina. I will link it below if you want to check that out. Thanks again for being here. Have a peaceful rest of your day, and I will see you very soon.